weekend starts now because The View is live. Vice President Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden are here live to share their highs and lows in office, advice for the incoming president, and if he's serious about running in 2020. And is the American dream in jeopardy? ABC News anchor Diane Sawyer takes a devastating look at how millions of Americans are struggling to stay in the middle class. The hottest topics start now with Whoopi, Paula Ferris, Joy Behar, and Jedediah Bila. Now, let's get things started.
The most heartwarming hot topic right now is President Obama shocking his vice president, Joe Biden, with a surprise that brought everybody, including all of us, to tears. Take a look.
For the final time as president, I am pleased to award our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
In a country so divided right now, I still don't know anyone who doesn't have a soft spot for this man. We are honored. We love him. We love when he's here. He's just one of the realest people you'll ever meet in your lifetime. Please welcome Vice President Joe Biden.
You know that? You're a rock star.
Yeah. And you,
very Asian rock star.
If you ever want to have a great train ride, I was on Amtrak one day coming home to New York, and I went to sit down. I said, "Oh no, you can't sit there. You can't sit there. We need your movie, Miss Goldberg. Please, please come with us." I was like, "What? What?" Because I'm like, "Why can't I sit here?" And they wouldn't tell us. And so I said, okay, and I just went and sat where they asked me to sit. And about 15 minutes in, the door opens, and who comes rolling through? He's on his way home. He's on his way home.
You always took the train, didn't you?
Always took the train.
8,200 round trips.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Not that you were counting at all.
They actually counted for me.
Oh, my gosh, they counted.
Oh, yeah, it's like amazing. And then yesterday, President Obama kind of shocked you.
He sure hell did.
Yeah. and awarded you the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian award in the United States. And may I just say one that you earned. This is an award that you should get. Yeah. You have given such great service to this country that you should not have been shocked. I guess he got you because you didn't think it was going to happen that way. But so you're standing there, and then you realize it's for you. and you burst into tears.
Look, first of all, I don't think I did deserve that. No, don't. I'm not looking. No, I'm being serious. But secondly, I had not the slightest idea. I didn't even know this. What I was told, Whoopi, was we're going to have a toast. And I thought that meant my family and his family would become very close over the years. My granddaughters, his daughters are each other's truly best friends, et cetera. And I thought the families were going to sit down and sort of reminisce about, the last 8 years and what we've been through. And I walk in and I see half everybody. It's been important in my life in the room. First of all, that shocked the hell out of me.
I bet it did.
And then we started after it was time to walk out. I made my comments after his beautiful comments, and I made my comments, and I started to walk out, and there were military lined up on one side, and they said no, the other side, and I thought, well, maybe they want me walking out through the military. And then when that guy came up with the medal, I thought, who the hell is this for?
Yeah.
No, I really didn't. I swear to God, I didn't. He's been extremely generous. He's become a great friend.
That was such an emotional moment for you as well. You said you were completely shocked, but why did it move you to tears?
Well, it's he and I have been through a lot, and you all know it, whether it's in your business or it's in any. You learn someone's relationships are built based on trust. And trust occurs when you're thrown together in a circumstance where there's a lot of pressure and you watch the other woman or man react, and you know when they have to rely on you and you have to rely on them. And the deal the president and I made when he asked me to be vice president, I think I talked on the show about this once before, is that he said, what do you want? I said, I just want to be the last guy in the room. I just be literally the last person in the room in every major decision. Whatever you decide, I'll back up, but I want to be able to have my point of view known. And so I got to watch this man make some astoundingly difficult decisions, just he and I in a room as I walked out, and he's left to have to make that decision. And so he had to learn to trust me, but in the process, I learned to trust him. And so he became, for example, the only confidant beyond my immediate family when my beau was dying. He knows everything about my children, me about his children. I mean, it's just, and so it's grown in a way that is real, but it's born out of this notion of just trust, and
and respect.
And a great deal of respect. I have enormous respect for him, and so it's just been a great ride.
So Joe, I call him Joe. I know.
Can we call you Joe?
Yeah, you can call. Yeah.
We called President Carter Jimmy when he was here.
No, you can call me Joe.
Yeah,
You can call me JoJo if you want.
I call you Big Joe B. But here's the thing. We're going to take a break because we have lots to talk to you about, and we want to make sure we have enough time. So we will be right back.
And we are back with Vice President Joe Biden. So, Joe, I know I'm going to call you Joe now.
That's all right.
So as you leave the office, the country, they say, is very much divided. People are worried about a Trump administration. I'm terrified that he knows nothing and is going to lead us into war. Now, you have called him thoroughly unqualified. What makes you the most uneasy? And remember, it's only an hour show.
Well, look, first of all, in the context of the campaign, in terms of unqualified, it was in the context of how much did he know about American foreign policy, and understandably comes at it without any background in the area.
Except on Russia.
And well, no, and look, I just think it's What I worry about is the inadvertent mistake in the near term on foreign policy.
Yeah.
By that I mean, I don't mean any nuclear war, that kind of malarkey. What I think is that there's a lot of complicated circumstances in Eastern Europe and Ukraine. There's a lot of complicated circumstances that exist today in the South China Sea. There's a lot of complicated circumstances that exist in Latin America. And unless you, and he does have people around him who have in-depth knowledge and points of view, maybe the same or different than mine. But what worries me most is he's taken, thus far, I hope he doesn't mean it, the crown jewel of American security is our intelligence community.
That's right.
And everything we do, we rely upon those 16 different agencies, and to diss them and dismiss them.
Yeah.
It really plays into Russia's hand, which is the hand they're playing, and Mr. Putin is playing, I know him well, personally, is that he wishes to see NATO not united and a divided Europe, because that puts him in a stronger position relative to that continent. And so the argument gets made, Joy, that, look, the Americans don't know what they're doing. The Americans aren't in control. The Americans are. And this just adds to, when you go at the heart of every country's security base and say, they don't know what they're talking about, it makes your allies wonder, well, wait a minute, what's going on?
And also,
that's what worries me.
And not only your allies, but also your enemies, people who, other countries who are viewing us and saying, right from the start, the president-elect has this huge conflict with the intelligence agencies. How dangerous is that when you have countries that don't love the United States observing that inner conflict right from day one?
Well, of the ones that are not necessarily enemies but our greatest potential concern, China and Russia, they're smarter than to know what we have. They know our capacity is awesome. But what worries me most is the countries in between who are deciding whether or not they're going to move in an authoritarian direction or in a democratic direction. And they then begin to make a gamble, say, well, it's better to make the gamble to be on the side of the authoritarian side of this equation than it is to be on the democratic side of the equation, because America, this great democracy, maybe it's not so great after all. Maybe we can't count on it as much. Maybe we can't rely on it. I was down in Australia with the new prime minister. He's a repeating prime minister. He won re-election by a smaller margin. They asked me to come down to solidify the relationship. We have Marines in Australia. And while I was there, I got a phone call from the president of Latvia. Could I please urgently come to Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania? And I asked why. And they said, well, the Republican nominee at the time said he's not sure he'd defend us against Russia. We're part of NATO. What's going on? And so I went and reassured him the Republican Party is strongly supportive of NATO as a democratic party. And what I'm hoping is that, and I mean this sincerely, I'm hoping that a lot of what Mr. Trump has said has been rhetorical so far. And as he sits behind that chair, he's a smart guy, that he, in fact, begins to understand the gravity of and the consequences of words, not just actions, but of words.
Let's talk about...
Let me ask this. When a guy tweets in the middle of the night continuously, does he understand the gravity of what he's doing?
Clearly not.
Yeah.
Because he keeps doing it.
It's continuous, kind of like every minute he's tweeting.
Good, Paul.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, let's talk about something else. I know you made news yesterday with the Medal of Freedom, but there was also news. The Department of Justice said that the Inspector General was going to investigate the FBI's handling of Hillary Clinton and the email. Do you think that that's valid? And do you maintain with other Democrats that ultimately that cost Hillary the election?
Let me start at the end. I don't know. I don't think anyone can say what cost Hillary the election. You look at an election that was this close, where she got 3 million more votes, but she lost 196,000 votes in 3 states that would have made the difference. It could be anything at all. The fact is, Hillary acknowledged the campaign wasn't that well run. We never got to the issues. I mean, you know, we talk. I'm referred to in Washington as middle-class Joe. Well, that's in Washington not meant as a compliment. It means you're not that sophisticated. But I'm always talking about the middle class because middle class is the fabric that holds the whole social fabric of the country together.
Yeah.
And when the middle class does well, the poor have a shot and the wealthy do very well. Well, now we're talking, everybody's quoting me I did 83 events for Hillary. Talking to me about my saying I've talked to and spoke to middle class folks and their anxieties. And so Biden got it, and Hillary didn't have a plan. Well, she had a plan.
Yeah, nobody
the
heard
problem was nobody heard it. None of you can tell me if you are. I've never met someone in a barrio, a ghetto, a middle class neighborhood, or a wealthy neighborhood didn't want their kid to go to college. Yet one of the great things Hillary had and we had is a way to pay for free college.
Yeah.
And but none of you can tell me what it was.
Well, because we were watching a reality show on the
Bingo.
other end.
That's the
why.
point.
Yes.
That's the point. So my concern has been, Whoopi, is that elections are supposed to. I'm sorry, you asked the question.
No, Paul, that's all right. I'm flattered if you want to call me Whoopi. Though. I mean, go for it. She's so accomplished.
I thought Whoopi asked the question. The problem is that elections are supposed to be about debates on the future of the country, so that when it's over, there's, if not a consensus, at least the winning candidate can say, I campaigned on this, now I'm going to try to govern on this. We never got to any of that.
Right.
I mean, all kidding aside, of all the elections I've ever been involved with, we've never got to a point where there was anything other than totally a bumper sticker on both sides here. And it wasn't my press. My press people would say, "Well, don't say that. You look like you're criticizing the press." I'm not criticizing the press. When you have when the story is a guy says I groped people, or and then on the other side of the story is, well, the way we can pay for community colleges is eliminating stepped-up basis. Well, what are you going to cover?
Who's going to win?
Exactly.
No,
the president does bear responsibility in covering
So,
that.
but it wasn't even. I don't know what you could have done, quite frankly.
We call that a false equivalency very often. They would say this was just as bad as that, and it wasn't. We're going to take another break,
Sure.
though, because we only have a little time with you.
Cut me off in these questions.
So we'll be right back with more from Vice President Joe Biden.
We are back with Vice President Joe Biden.
So, Joe.
Yes.
I love this question because back in December you said, I am going to run in 2020. What the hell, man? Those were your words. You're so fabulous the way you talk. We love it. So how serious are you? Tell the truth. Come on.
I am not.
Not serious.
No. The context of the question was like, what are you going to do now, Daddy? The war's over. You know what I mean? And they said, well, what are you going to do now? And I jokingly said, because the press had been following me through the Capitol whole day, I said, I'm going to run. They said, run for what? And I said, run for president. You know, I mean, but it was in that spirit that I said, I have no intention of running for president, but I do have intention to stay deeply involved in everything I've done my whole life.
Yes.
And what I've done, and I'm going to be announcing when I'm out, is I've tried to work out a deal where I can provide for taking my substantive staff in the vice presidency, some of the most serious people in Washington, on domestic and foreign policy. The University of Delaware and the University of Pennsylvania are providing me platforms where I'll have a considerable amount of money for paid staff working for me on the issues that I care about. So I plan on staying very deeply involved in the substance. I haven't figured out my gainful employment yet, but that's what I'm going to be doing. It's the thing I've done my whole life.
One of the issues you care deeply about is fighting against domestic violence.
Yes.
Why that issue? I mean, you authored the Violence Against Women Act. You've been at the forefront of this. Why right now, and particularly with what you see going on college campuses, why this issue?
Because we can and we are able to change the culture in America. No man has a right, under any circumstances other than self-defense, ever to raise his hand to a woman. None. Zero. None. There's no justification for it. And folks, you interviewed me early on, Whoopi, when I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. We've had phenomenal success. Violence against women and domestic partners is down 67%, except in one area. And it devastated me to find this out 2.5 years ago, because I brought that office inside the vice president's, run by me, not by the Justice Department. And I found out that the number of women between the ages of 14 and 24, the rape and sexual assault against them has not decreased at all. So that's why the president and I started this Violence Against Women. I did a virtual town meeting, I'm trying to do this quick, virtual town meeting with tens of thousands of people on the phone. And I asked all these young women from high school through colleges saying, what could we most do? And I gave them a contact point. They said spontaneously, get men involved.
Yeah.
Guys, it's on us. We have a moral obligation. We have an obligation to step up. We have an obligation to speak out.
That's right.
And so
Joe, given all the things that we know in terms of what's coming up, how are you going to keep this office and this issue in front of
with about $6 million worth of staff. Wow. And I'm going to have a full-blown staff of the leading people in the country on cancer care, on foreign policy, on domestic policy, and violence against women. And I'm going to run an entire operation and out of the University of Delaware, where I have, if you name the 10 best people in the country on this issue, 3 of them are going to be working full-time with me and the other working along.
Let's talk about the other thing, because in 2015, we all mourned with you when your beloved son, Bo, passed away from brain cancer. And after you leave office, you're going to work tirelessly for cancer research, right? And your initiative, Cancer Moonshot. Yeah. So you have very ambitious plans to cure cancer. Are we close?
Yeah, we are. Look, one of the things I found out, I know this is short, but 5 years ago, until 5 years ago, there was no coordination in the cancer area. Now you hear a lot about immunotherapy, using your immune system. Well, it was viewed as a voodoo science 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Now it's at the center of things. It's being funded. Virologists, biological engineers, this whole conglomeration of people. When Nixon declared the war on cancer, he had no army, he had no weapons, he had no knowledge. And we set up a structure that was set for medicine not sharing information. The image was sort of Dr. Salt curing polio in a laboratory. Now it's a collaborative effort, but docs don't share well. And so what I'm able to do, and I think I'll continue to be able to do with some of the leading people, including Nobel laureates joining me in a Biden initiative when I leave here, is my ability is able to convene. To convene people and to break down these silos. One case in point, I got a call when I was trying to reorganize the federal government, which we did on this. I got a call from IBM. Do you want to have Watson, the supercomputer? Now, God forbid, you're a soldier, you get cancer, you get diagnosed at Walter Reed. They can do your cancer genome in a matter of a couple days. They can sequence it. It gets plugged into Watson. Watson has read every single solitary treatise in the history of the world on cancer. You can find out where you are. So it's organizational. That's what I'm going to be working on.
I know we have to go to break real quick, but can you tell us first, how is Bo's wife and his 2 children, Natalie and Hunter? They're now 12 and 10. How are they doing?
Thank you for asking. They're doing well. They still miss their daddy. That's why I try to go home every weekend. My son Hunter's always there. The way I learned from when I lost my wife and daughter, and in an accident I got elected, I'm watching my 2 boys, how they had to deal with it. You learn a lot. And the one thing you can do is smother them with love and affection. And just make sure they know that you're always there and they can talk about anything at all. So, you know, they come and sleep in bed and cuddle up with you and tell you, you know, you smell like Daddy Pop, you know, I mean, stuff that, but it's a thing that, it's a thing you got to go through. A lot of you have been through it without anywhere near the kind of help I have, without anywhere near the kind of help and support I've had. Every day people go through such incredible things, and they get up and they put one foot in front of the other. They're amazing.
We are going to miss you, boy.
We so appreciate
what they're doing. They were with me yesterday.
In part, that's part of what I think the empathy that you have for Americans is why they respond to you. And that's why I ask, you know, I'm hoping that all of these issues that you're working with will have stones to the White House that's coming in, because empathy is something that you have to learn that if you're going to run a nation full of all kinds of different people. And that's why people are so attached now, because they're like, listen, we need you to help them figure
We're going to
it
talk.
out.
Don't go. We're going to talk more. We're going to talk more about this. Joe, we're going to come right back and talk more about this with you. We will be right back with Vice President Joe Biden.
Coming up next, Dr. Jill Biden.
I was thinking yesterday.
Welcome back, everyone. Hey, we're back with Vice President Joe Biden, and we are joined now by his lovely bride, Dr. Jill Biden. Welcome, Jill. Dr. Biden. It's so great to have you here. You know, we've been so honored to see you serve as our second lady, but you've done that. That's your full-time job, but you also have a full-time job as a professor. You've managed to balance that somehow. As you now enter back into civilian life, Dr. Biden, what are you really looking forward to?
I think I'm looking forward to running by myself. I'm a runner, and
And not having the trail of Secret Service running with you.
Although now I'm a little scared. Like, now something's going to happen, you know.
No.
But,
Poo-poo. Don't say that.
Okay.
Nothing's going to happen.
So anyway, it's just been, you know, we're just going to continue doing what we've done, what we've been doing. I've had the complete honor of working with Michelle, with military families. It's just been an incredible journey. And
And I want to ask you about that, because again, you know, as we go into the future, have you all left enough building blocks for the incoming folks to continue the work? Because what I don't think any of us want to see is that ball dropped again, ever. So have you left them enough information to...
yeah, I think we've left enough information for them.
And the Pences know this. The
Yeah,
Pences,
yeah.
they've been pros. They've been doing this. They're really
Are they
fine.
going to be the vice presidential
Yeah,
folks?
they
'Cause
are. And
They
by
are?
the way, they really are fine
Think you go
people.
to
I have
president?
strong
You like
disagreements
it?
with
Good.
them on social policy, but they're fine. They're decent people. They have a beautiful
They're a
family.
military family,
Great.
like the
Good.
Bidens.
Good. All right.
And by the way, one of the things they asked us about was they have a daughter. They asked whether my granddaughter would talk to their daughter about Secret Service protection
Yeah.
in school, what it was like. I mean, we've had them over for dinner. I mean, look, this is more like the old school that we're used to. And I think we disagree philosophically,
That's
but
okay.
but they're really
See,
decent
I don't
people.
worry that they're. I think he's going to be the president. I think he's going to. Well, I think that in a way, what I mean to say.
Joe just did this. You know, this boy's
Is that I
Catholic.
think there's going to be, because this is not an easy job. It's not an easy
No.
job, and you can't just saunter in and just tweet about stuff. So you're going to have to depend on somebody who actually knows what goes on in Washington.
Do you think he
which
would come
makes
on
me
the show,
think,
Mike
oh.
Pence?
I bet he would.
We'd like to have him, wouldn't we, Whoopi? Yes.
Well, we have asked him, and he almost came, and then he didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd love to have you.
He's really busy right now putting this government together, for
Yeah, I
real. I mean,
bet,
as
yeah.
a transition.
He's going to be even busier.
I wanted to ask you, though, with respect to Pence, on the issue of national security, because that's the issue that when people look at Donald Trump, they get concerned about. You recently went into a meeting with Mike Pence, and you talked about some of these issues, and it was reassuring to me that you came out and said, you know what, I feel like things are in good hands.
Yeah.
Can you speak to people on that a little bit? Because national security is the topic when people talk to me about their concerns, that's their number one
I
red
want you
flag.
to hear from Jill, because she's the best part of this family. But here's, no, that's God's truth. But here's the deal. I am confident Mike Pence has a clear understanding of American foreign policy, where the genuine threats are. We disagree, as we have, between mainstream Democrats and Republicans, but he is fully aware. I write personal security memorandum to him on issues that he's asked me remember I said the thing I most worry about is those middle-range countries where something could go wrong. So, but he's been so busy putting them together, he and I haven't had as much time to be together. So I personally write classified memorandum to him on the things that he'll call me and ask me about, or I'll call him about what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on here, what's going on there, the things that I've had control. So I have great confidence in him. I have great confidence in General Mattis. I have great confidence. There are serious, serious people around the president who know a great deal about national security and foreign policy.
Well, that's a
All
relief.
right. That is a relief. Can I just say, it has been such a pleasure, such an honor, such a delight to have both of you here, Vice President Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden. You said never say never about 2020, right?
Yeah.
Talk to this one. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and enjoy civilian life. We're going to miss you in office, and everybody, we're going to be right back.
Thank you.
Next, losing hope in the future. ABC News anchor Diane Sawyer has a heartbreaking look at how millions of struggling Americans are barely hanging on. Monday, The View honors Martin Luther King Jr. CNN's Van Jones joins Hot Topics to talk about how Dr. King would feel about being black in America today. Plus, the former leader of a violent hate group shares who inspired him to heal his hate. And has this election affected the future of race relations in America? Find out how it's tearing one school apart in an eye-opening view every parent needs to see.
And all kinds of crazy stuff. It's too much. Hey, so it was a theme that echoed throughout this election. Millions of Americans who feel forgotten and are on the verge of losing everything. The harder they work to get ahead, the more they fall behind. An ABC News anchor and fabulous woman on her own, Diane Sawyer, spent a year and a half following some of these people for a special edition of 2020 called My Reality, A Hidden America. And she just joined us. Hey.
Hey, Diane.
These are such inspiring stories of America and hard work and believing in the American dream. In fact, this whole thing started when we put a question out online. What is the American dream?
Yeah.
Let's look together. What is the middle class anymore in America? You know, people weren't that eager to let us in because their neighbors don't know what's going on behind closed doors. When wages are not keeping up with the big costs in America and you want your kids to have everything you had and the lengths to which you go. So I'll just show you a little bit of one woman who did let us in.
Yes.
And she's in Maryland. Her husband installs air conditioners, long, long hours, and she works at an elementary school. We head to Maryland to meet an incredibly spunky woman named Tracy Coleman. She's shaving big bars of soap to make her own laundry detergent because it saves her $10 a month. Her curious son, Colton, just 7 years old, he already reads at a 6th grade level. He and his best friend Caleb ask about the budget.
How much money do you get? What I'm going to bring home is going to be $407.
Talk to low-wage workers across America. There's a changing face. 60% of those who make less than $10 an hour are now women. And because so many of these women have families of their own to support, we found a new growth industry in America.
Mama.
Overnight daycare.
We have like about 50 children.
It's the world we're in now.
In fact, we called it My Reality for ourselves. The reality. And so many people made their own video cameras. You're going to meet, as I say, the most incredibly inspiring people. There is a man who commutes 4 hours to work and 4 hours home every day, and he's been doing it for 10 years just to keep his family going, hoping they'll have a better life.
And I think what's really important about this particular story, Diane, so many times as journalists, we do the story and then we don't do a follow-up, but you're going to be following up with these families.
That's right. We're going to spend the next year with a new president who has promised better wages and jobs in America and see what happens to these people. And can we all come together on something and say we have got to look at the lives in America, the reality in America, and all get together and do something.
Can we send this special up to Washington so they can see? Because I'm looking at all the things You know, they're talking about getting rid of Obamacare, talking about getting rid of all these sort of safety nets that people have now. And what do they do? What do these Americans do when everything disappears?
Well, we know there is a fact, which is a haunting one in America, that the top 20% of Americans have 14 times the wealth of the rest of the country. And the longing that so many millions of Americans have to have a savings account, to have security in their lives.
That everybody gets.
And so many people said, I'm not asking for everything. Once a month, a trip to McDonald's.
And Mickey D, you saw this. You can help us out with this. You can make this happen. You know, all of these fast food, all these, we can do this, damn it. Thank you, Diane. So, yes, it does begin here. It begins right here. My Reality, A Hidden America, airs tonight on a special edition of 2020 at 10 p.m. Eastern on ABC. And if you watch it and you see you can help, do it.
To celebrate our 20th anniversary, The View wants to send 3 grand prize winners and their guests to a taping of our show from Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, where magic is endless. The winners will visit all 4 theme parks. They can experience the magic of nature at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. Step inside movies, TV, music, and theater at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Discover wonder and imagination at Epcot and timeless enchantment at the Magic Kingdom theme park. Winners will also receive a set of American Tourister luggage for their magical adventure. Visit abc.com/theview for your chance to win this unforgettable vacation.
Hey, well, that's the show for today, and it was pretty damn good. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy The View.